Happiness is the golden carrot dangled before us, an illusion we chase with desperate fervor. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that fulfillment lies just beyond the next promotion, the next big purchase, or the next milestone. The corporate world sells us this dream with relentless precision: work hard, climb the ladder, secure financial stability, and happiness will be your reward. Yet, despite achieving these goals, so many find themselves disillusioned, trapped in a cycle of endless striving, wondering why the promised satisfaction never materializes. The truth no one tells you is this: happiness, as sold by society, is not a destination but a mirage, and the more you chase it externally, the further it recedes. Psychologists have long explored this paradox. The phenomenon known as the arrival fallacy suggests that we are wired to believe that happiness awaits us once we achieve our goals. However, the moment we grasp what we once desired, the thrill dissipates. The dream job becomes routine. The once exciting salary raise is absorbed into everyday expenses, and the sense of triumph gives way to an insatiable hunger for more. The cycle repeats, ensuring that no achievement ever grants lasting fulfillment. It is not because we are broken, but because we are biologically designed to seek rather than to attain. The brain rewards pursuit, not possession. This relentless chase is exacerbated by modern work culture, which commodifies happiness as the ultimate benchmark of success. We are bombarded with messages that link productivity with self-worth, leading many to equate their value with their professional accomplishments. Yet, if happiness were truly tied to career success, why do so many high achievers suffer from stress, depression, and existential emptiness? The corporate world thrives on our dissatisfaction, ensuring that no achievement ever feels enough. Promotions bring higher expectations, salary raises come with increased responsibilities, and the ever-present fear of stagnation fuels an endless race. The pursuit of happiness in external accomplishments is not just flawed, it is a trap designed to keep us running without ever allowing us to arrive. Even when we attempt to step outside of work and seek happiness in material gains, the outcome is eerily similar. The new car, the luxury vacation, the dream home, each delivers a fleeting high, followed by an inevitable return to baseline. The concept of hedonic adaptation, first studied by psychologists Brickman and Campbell, explains why human beings revert to a stable level of happiness regardless of external changes. Whether we experience a significant positive event or an adverse setback, our emotional state recalibrates, returning us to our default level of contentment. This means that no matter how many external goals we achieve, we are destined to adapt, forever chasing the next fix, mistakenly believing that the next accomplishment will be the one to bring lasting satisfaction. But what happens when we recognize this cycle? Do we abandon ambition, resign ourselves to a life without goals? The answer is not to stop striving, but to redefine what we strive for. If happiness is an illusion, then where does true fulfillment lie? The next step in unraveling this dark truth is understanding how our very biology conspires against lasting happiness, trapping us in an endless loop of desire and dissatisfaction. The greatest trick our minds ever played on us was convincing us that happiness is something we can capture and hold on to. Yet, no matter how much we achieve, how high we climb, or how much we accumulate, the feeling is always temporary. This is not a coincidence. It is a design flaw in the human psyche, a mechanism that ensures we are never satisfied for long. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill, a phenomenon that explains why our levels of happiness remain relatively constant despite changes in external circumstances. The thrill of success, the rush of accomplishment, the euphoria of obtaining what we once desperately wanted. These emotions fade, forcing us to set new goals, chase bigger dreams, and repeat the cycle indefinitely. We believe we are progressing, but in reality, we are running in place, slaves to a system that exploits our inability to be content. Neuroscience reveals that our brains are wired to prioritize desire over fulfillment. The dopamine system, often associated with pleasure, is actually more about anticipation than satisfaction. We experience the highest levels of dopamine not when we achieve something, but when we are about to achieve it. The moment of attainment is anticlimactic, quickly overshadowed by the need for a new pursuit. This is why people who attain great wealth, power, or success often feel an inexplicable emptiness. It is not because they have failed to reach the right goal, but because the human mind is incapable of experiencing lasting fulfillment from external achievements. The brain was never designed to let us arrive. It was designed to keep us moving, ensuring survival, but never allowing true contentment. The corporate world and consumer culture exploit this flaw mercilessly. Every advertisement, every motivational slogan, every corporate incentive is built on the premise that you are incomplete, but that completion is just one step away. The next promotion, the next purchase, the next achievement will finally make you feel whole. But it never does. Studies on lottery winners and high achievers show the same pattern. After an initial spike in happiness, people return to their baseline, often feeling even more lost than before. The difference is that once they have attained what society deems as success, they are left with no more illusions to chase. This is why so many high performers suffer from depression, burnout, or a profound sense of purposelessness. The treadmill doesn't stop, but they begin to see it for what it is, a machine that never lets them off. This realization is unsettling. If happiness is always out of reach, then what is the point of striving? If success does not guarantee fulfillment, then why pursue it? These are the questions that most people refuse to face, choosing instead to distract themselves with the next goal, the next project, the next fleeting moment of satisfaction. But those who dare to look deeper begin to understand that happiness was never meant to be the goal in the first place. The next step in breaking free from this illusion is to confront the cost of the pursuit itself, the toll it takes on our mental and emotional well-being, and the silent destruction it leaves in its wake. The pursuit of happiness, as we have been taught, does not come without consequence. The constant striving, the endless reaching for the next milestone, takes a toll far greater than most are willing to admit. In our desperate attempt to feel fulfilled, we sacrifice our time, our energy, and often our very sense of self. We glorify the grind, romanticize the struggle, and convince ourselves that the exhaustion is proof of our ambition. But beneath the surface, beneath the accolades and the carefully curated social media posts, there is a deep and pervasive emptiness, one that no amount of success can seem to fill. The cost of chasing happiness is not just disappointment, it is the slow erosion of meaning itself. Burnout is often framed as a failure of the individual, a sign that someone was not strong enough, not disciplined enough, not resilient enough to handle the demands of success. But in truth, burnout is the inevitable result of a system designed to extract as much as possible from us while giving little in return. The modern workplace thrives on the illusion that fulfillment can be found in professional achievement, but the reality is far more sinister. Studies show that employees who tie their self-worth to their careers are more prone to stress, anxiety, and depression. The more one seeks happiness through external validation, the more fragile and volatile their sense of fulfillment becomes. A single failure, a single setback, can feel catastrophic because it threatens not just a job or a paycheck, but one's very identity. This is the cruel paradox. The harder we chase happiness, the more elusive it becomes. The pursuit itself creates suffering because it is built on the premise that something is missing, that we are incomplete as we are. This is why those who obsess over happiness often feel the most dissatisfied. The more one fixates on feeling good, the more painfully aware they become of every moment that falls short of that expectation. Psychologists call this the happiness trap. The idea that making happiness the primary goal of life leads to chronic dissatisfaction. It is the reason why so many who appear to have it all still feel hollow inside. They have mistaken the pursuit of happiness for the pursuit of meaning, not realizing that the two are not the same. Consumer culture fuels this cycle by constantly shifting the goalposts. Advertisements promise that the next product, the next lifestyle change, the next personal development hack will finally bring the fulfillment we seek. The self-help industry thrives on the idea that happiness is just one mindset shift away, ignoring the reality that human beings are not meant to exist in a constant state of joy. We are complex, contradictory creatures, shaped by struggle as much as by triumph. To deny this is to deny our own nature. The more we resist discomfort, the more we suffer. The more we cling to happiness, the more it slips through our fingers. So, where does this leave us? If happiness is a flawed pursuit, if the chase itself is the problem, then what should we be striving for instead? This is the question that few dare to ask, because the answer is not simple. The truth is that fulfillment is not found in happiness, but in something far deeper, something that requires us to abandon the illusion entirely and seek meaning beyond momentary pleasure. The final step in breaking free from this cycle is to confront the one truth that terrifies us the most. Happiness is not the goal of life. If happiness is a mirage, an illusion that fades the moment we reach for it, then what should we be striving for? This is the uncomfortable question that few dare to ask, because the answer shatters everything we have been conditioned to believe. The pursuit of happiness is not just flawed, it is the wrong pursuit entirely. Happiness, as we understand it, is a fleeting state, a temporary high, a momentary reward that was never meant to be sustained. Chasing it leads only to exhaustion, disappointment, and an endless loop of dissatisfaction. But meaning is different. Meaning does not promise constant joy, nor does it depend on external validation. It is not something we achieve once and hold on to forever, but something we create, something we cultivate, something that remains even when happiness fades. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychologist, understood this truth in its rawest form. He observed that those who survived the most inhumane conditions were not the ones who sought happiness, but the ones who found meaning even in suffering. His work revealed a profound reality. Human beings are not wired for a life of unbroken pleasure, but for a life of purpose. Meaning gives suffering a reason, transforms hardship into growth, and anchors us in something greater than momentary gratification. This is why those who dedicate themselves to a cause, a craft, or a deeper sense of purpose often experience a fulfillment that eludes those who chase happiness alone. They do not escape struggle, but they embrace it as part of something worthwhile. Modern culture resists this idea because it is far easier to sell happiness than to sell meaning. Happiness can be packaged, marketed, and turned into a product. Meaning cannot. Meaning requires depth, introspection, and the willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of something greater than the self. It is not glamorous, nor is it always pleasurable, but it is the only thing that can sustain us in the long run. This is why people who devote themselves to creative expression, to intellectual pursuits, to deep relationships, or to a cause greater than themselves, often report a sense of fulfillment that transcends mere happiness. They understand that life is not about feeling good all the time. It is about becoming something, about contributing, about engaging with existence in a way that matters. The final and most unsettling truth is this: those who seek meaning over happiness often find something unexpected. Happiness as a byproduct. Not the shallow, fleeting happiness that comes from external success, but a deeper, quieter contentment that emerges from knowing that one's life has purpose. But this kind of happiness cannot be chased directly. It can only be found when we stop obsessing over it, when we stop measuring our lives by temporary emotions and start measuring them by depth, by growth, by the impact we leave behind. The pursuit of happiness is a trap, but the pursuit of meaning is liberation. The question is not whether you will suffer in life. The question is whether that suffering will be in service of something that truly matters. And so, the real choice is this: will you keep running on the treadmill, chasing an illusion that will forever escape you? Or will you step off and dare to live for something more,